Hi everyone, this is Lori here with Lori Hooks. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So I'm sorry it's been a few weeks since I've been on. Life's been busy, a lot's been going on. If you've been with me over the last little bit, you know somewhat of what's going on with my life. You know that things are busy. So we're going to start with Yarny catch up today. I have a couple acquisitions that I want to talk about, which kind of relate to upcoming. And then I will give you guys a life update in terms of updating you guys what's going on in my life, as well as a quick recap if you're new here. So let's start with the Yarny update. And I apologize. I have 3 finished objects and I don't have 2 of them. So I do have one of them that looks exactly the same as another finished object, and that is just a little knit dishcloth that I made. So I think it's probably been 4 weeks since I've been on here, I think. So the second weekend in Canada was Thanksgiving, which I think Thanksgiving was October 9th, I think. So for that weekend, we went to my parents' place, which knit dishcloths for me are great to work on in the car while my husband's driving. For some reason, I can knit in the car a lot better than I can crochet. I can't explain it except for the fact that I don't need to look down as much at my knitting as I do when I'm crocheting. So I think that's really what the difference is. So anyways, I started a knit dishcloth in the car that I finished of the same colorway. And I finished it while I was at my parents' place, so I gave it to my sister-in-law because my sister-in-law was there, and usually I give them to my mom, so I thought it's my sister-in-law's turn. Then I started this one while I was still there and finished it. It was almost done by the time we got home, so I just had a little bit of it to finish when we got home. So that is knit dishcloths. The other thing that I made is Crystal at BagODay has a tutorial for it's a mitt that has a hole in the middle for you to put your can of pop or a beer can or that kind of thing in it. I'll insert a picture here of what hers looks like, and her tutorial will be linked in the description box below. I don't know if she has a written pattern for this one. I know some of her patterns, I know some of her tutorials she has written patterns for. I don't know if she does for this one. But anyways, this is the third one of these that I made. My dad was, I wish I'd taken a picture of mine because the one that I made was gray. And Crystal suggests using cotton for the inside part where your can goes. I used white for that because that's what I had. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Okay, it's passed. Sorry about that. But anyways, so in the winter, my dad was out with my husband. I don't know if my son was there. They were snowmobiling, and they were somewhere where they were handmade items like slippers and mittens and stuff, and Dad saw one of these there and said to my husband, "Oh, you should take a picture of that and show it to Lori. That's cool." So my husband did that, showed it to me, and I thought, oh, it's a hint. Dad wants one. Not a big deal. So I made up a quick one for Dad. It's a quick project. If you're looking to make one, I made it in 2 evenings of TV watching, so it's quick project to work up. And I brought it there and I gave it to them while I was there, and I forgot to even take a picture of it. So kind of disappointing. I like to have pictures of all the things that I make, but it is what it is. So on to the next things that I've been working on since then. My knit project that I've been working on, which you guys have seen before. The last time you saw it, I think I had just split off the arms and had started the body, but this is a knit cardigan. So now I just finished the second sleeve yesterday. So there's one of the sleeves, there's the back, And there's the other sleeve. So that's what the body looks like of the back, and it is a cardigan, so it is open in the front. So that's what it looks like so far. This is a net pattern by Ashley Lillis. I am a beginner knitter. She has some really good beginner knitter wearable patterns using, the majority of them are bulky yarns. Not all of them are, but the majority of them are. So they work up really fast. Her tutorials are really good. Sorry about that. So Ashley's patterns her tutorials are they're very good for the beginner knitter who's not a super beginner. You know how to knit, you know how to purl, you know, like basic stitches. And she goes through the more difficult stuff like picking up stitches and all those kind of things. So I really enjoy watching her tutorials, and I think that her patterns are really great. This is the second wearable I've made of hers, which this one is more beginner than the last one that I made. I should have really done them the other way around. It is what it is. So the yarn that I'm using for this project is this Lion Brand Thick and Quick Respun, which is a recycled polyester, I believe. Yes, recycled polyester. And these are large skeins. This is the third one. And the color on this is Sunshine. So this is a bulky 6, and this is a 12 ounce, 340 gram skein, 223 yards, 204 meters. I just got this at my local Walmart. I think they were $10, which I thought was a pretty good buy. The yarn, I'm concerned of how well it's going to wash up. We'll see. I hope that I'm not disappointed afterwards, because it does kind of feel like it's going to ball quite a bit. So we'll see. I hope that I'm not disappointed when I go to wash it the first time. So, because I think it says hand wash, lay flat to dry, which I'll admit, I don't hand wash the stuff that I make usually. It's too thick to hand wash, I find. I usually put it in my washing machine on the hand wash cycle, because mine doesn't have an agitator in it. So I kind of cheat and I do that. So hopefully it's okay. We'll see. So that's my knit cardigan that I've been working on. And the other thing that I've been working on, which I kind of had on pause right now, is I subscribe to Amigurumi Today, which they send out an email. Maybe it's every week, maybe it's every 2 weeks. I'm not sure. It's not bombarding though, if you're interested in subscribing to that email. But they have all kinds of free, really nice amigurumi patterns. So a couple weeks ago I got an email, and on that email, because I'll admit I don't necessarily read all of them, so in that email it was saying that they had a new release of an Ariel, like Little Mermaid Ariel pattern, and in the picture she's holding Flounder. And so my daughter was like, oh, is there a pattern for Flounder as well? So I went online and I looked, and yes, there was. And so my daughter asked me to make her a Flounder. So that's where I'm at with Flounder so far. He needs some stripes and he needs his fin for his back. But that's where I'm at so far. I need to work on the stripes and the fin when I have concentrative time. Concentrative time to knit and crochet has been tough lately, but hopefully I'll get him done in the next few days. So that's little Flounder. The yarn that I'm using for this is Sheepy's Katona, like I use for gnomes and those type of things. This is what Sheepy's Katona looks like. And I'm using a 2.2 millimeter hook. So there is Flounder. The yellow, it's put away over there somewhere along with the hook where I usually sit. So that is my projects that I've been working on. except for I have been working on my fall wreath. The fall wreath is a collaboration that I'm doing with Rebecca over at Yarn and Pajamas. This was been a collaboration for the year, and Rebecca was really nice and asked me to I asked that we could postpone the fall wreaths, so we are running a little late on that. I need to contact Rebecca and see where she's at with hers. I admit I am way behind on mine. It's coming along. I need to spend more time on it though, so I'm not going to show that today. So that's I think that's everything that I've been working on. So let's get on to acquisitions. So backstory on one of my acquisitions first. I think it's called MJ's. I'll put it under here. So MJ released, if you're into crochet wearables at all, I think that you know MJ. She has all kinds of wearable tutorials and patterns. They are beautiful. Her explanations in her tutorials are fabulous. But she has all kinds of stuff wearable, like she's blankets, hats, sweaters, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, so she has been releasing different granny sweaters patterns over the course of since probably the winter, early spring this year. So she has a pullover, she's a cardigan, she has a hooded sweater, she has a v-neck sweater, she has all these different granny style sweaters, and they all use Mary Maxim Prism. And from the release of the first one, I've just been, oh, I need to make myself one of those. So a couple weeks ago, I was on Mary Maxim's website and the Prism was on sale, and I thought, well, they did have Prism on sales, was they had some steeper discounts on some of the colors. So I thought, now is the time. So let me grab it. Sorry, it's down on the floor beside me. It's hard to reach. My label is a little bit ripped. So this is the Mary Maxim Prism that I got. The color on this is denim blues, and this is what it looks like. So it's got denim blues. It's got a little bit of this lighter blue in it, as well as there's some gray, unlike this. Yeah, here's the gray. Kind of maybe has a purple undertone. Maybe it's the coloring in this room, because this room kind of gives it off different colors, the lighting in here. But this color, the denim blue, as well as two other colors. Now one of them, the one I really wanted, was sold out, but they have another color, I think it's called Misty or something like that. They were all $3.97 on Mary Maxim Canada's website, which they're normally, I think, $7.99. The other colors I think were $1 off. I think they were $6.99. But I thought that's perfect timing. I love these colors. So I picked up, I think, 7 balls of this denim blues. And in MJ's patterns, some of them for the ribbing she uses a solid color, and some of them she uses the Prism. I really like the solid color ribbings, so I decided to get myself, and for hers she uses the Mary Maxim Best Value. So I did get one of these. This is the Mary Maxim Best Value in the color Platinum. I think it looks really nice with this denim blues. I think it's going to look really nice for the ribbing and that kind of stuff on my sweater. So I think I've decided to do the V-neck sweater. I did get, I think for my size she called for 5 balls of the Prism, and I did get 7. So I have a little bit of extra, but I think that'll be good in the end. So I think I'll probably make mine a little bit longer. And I just wanted to be safe and get myself an extra one, because I figured that these are steeply discounted because they're being discontinued colors. We'll see, but I presume that's why they're so steeply discounted. So that was my order for Mary Maxim, and Mary Maxim, I think I also got 20% off, so it was really good buy. My other thing that I got, and again, I'm going to have to reach over and get it. And this will kind of go into my life update portion. So if you're new here, if this is your first time here, you haven't been here in a while, we had a flood in our house mid-August. We had the inlet on our second floor toilet broke when nobody was home. And my son came home to find the water, you know, full force water coming into that washroom. He did get the water shut off right away when he arrived home. When I say my son's 27. He's not a child. He knew what to do. Yeah, so he found the water on and called me immediately. And well, I think he put himself together enough that he was calm when he called me. But he called me and let me know what was happening. But by the time he found it, there was already water right through the first floor ceilings. There was 3 inches of water on the floor in the basement, as well as it was through the basement ceilings. I will get more into that on the life update, but it also took out, I had some yarn in the basement in cardboard boxes, which that yarn got wet, and some of it was for current projects that I'm working on. So I saw that these were on sale at Hirschner's again, and I needed to replace the yarn that got wet in the flood. So I bought 2 of these. I think I lost 1 of these in the flood, maybe 2. Well, to explain, I got 1 of these, as well as I got this, which is sold like this as a 4-pack. So it's the same variegated yarn as along with the 3 solids. So the variegated color is Flourish. This one's Flourish. So I got 2 of these, as well as the 4 of these from Hirschner's. And these all were, I had bought these before. I got them in April, and these were all got wet in the flood, so they had to be thrown away. So the solid colors, I don't know if I can see them. I don't want to take it out of the wrapper. So this one is Boysenberry. This one is Stem. This one, I don't know if I can read it. It's the wrong way. Sorry about all the cranking. This one is Glacier. So I'm using the variegated for the body of the blanket, and my plan is to use these solids for the border. I do have the blanket here, but it's off in the corner where I can't get to it in the bottom of a project bag, so I'm not going to get it out right now. But if you've been here for a while, you've seen the blanket. So I got those from Hirschner's. They were on sale, as well as I got 20% off. And I'll quickly mention, if you are in Canada and you buy from Hirschner's, they have changed the way they do things since the last time I purchased from them. I had last purchased from them, I think, in April. And when I bought that time, it was the normal that you pay. You don't pay extra taxes. They just ship it to you. They ship it via post, so when it arrives in Canada, it's Canada Post that brings it. But Canada Post, anything that's over, I think it's $28, it's eligible for duty and tax charges, as well as they charge for the customs clearance. So when I bought in April, I think I paid $12 for the customs clearance, as well as the taxes on top of that. And I had to drive over to the post office to get it, which is a pain because the one, it's not that close to me. Not a big deal because I have a car I drive. It's not a big deal. But if you didn't drive and you didn't have a car, it would be a huge deal because you can't walk there from my house. But it worked out to like $20 to clear whatever I had bought that time. But this time when I ordered online, they charged the Canadian taxes on the order. And so therefore I didn't have to pay brokerage when it arrived. The complaint that I have is that they charged the correct tax, but then I'm paying that in US dollars, which US dollars, like, it's like 30 cents on the dollar extra for the conversion over to Canadian. So it works out that it's 30 cents on the dollar more than I should have had to pay for the tax. It is what it is, but that works out that to be less than what that brokerage charge was. But just if you're in Canada, take a note. They have changed that recently. I assume that's the way that they do it now. I've only bought from them once, but that's the first time I've had that happen on Hirschner's. So that was my Hirschner's order. So let's get on to life update. Sorry, get comfortable in my chair here. Okay, so quick recap if you're new here. As I said, we had a flood. The flood was in mid-August. The flood was bad enough that the water went through almost all of our first floor ceilings, down inside walls, as well as through basement ceilings. And there was 3 inches of water on the floor in our basement. We had to move out. We are now in a rental, and our original, about 4 or 5 days after the flood, when they came in to analyze the situation and do the initial plan, they told us that we would be out of our house for 8 months. So we moved in here about 3 weeks after the flood. We were in temporary housing for the 3 weeks. And then we came here. So here we have most of our belongings. And I'll tell you a funny, yarny story about that part. So at the point when they packed up our house, we did not know where we were going. We were in temporary housing at that point. So they sent a crew of 6 people to our house to pack up. And 2 of the people didn't speak any English at all. They had a lady who was with them who would translate for them and to let them know what they needed to do. Even she wasn't on site with them all the time. There was another woman who was like their supervisor or whatever. She would come and let them know what they needed to do, and she was the one who took notes on everything. Like while they're packing up, they take pictures and keep track of the possessions that are like your losses while they're packing up everything. So like, for example, this yarn, they took pictures of all the yarn so that the insurance has values. Like they know what you lost in terms of needing to replace. So anyway, we had these people there that English is not their first language. Then we had others that English for them was really good and it wasn't such an issue. But they packed up the boxes and labeled the boxes based on the room that it came out of, as well as some information about what was inside the box. And so some of the labels didn't really make sense. Like all the silverware, they took all the silverware, like they took all the spoons and rolled them up together and put them in bubble wrap together. And they took all the forks and rolled them up together in bubble wrap, as well as they put paper on top. So you couldn't really see them, but they labeled all those packages. Sorry. My Sophie's dreaming. Sophie. Okay. But the labels on all the silverware, they all said forks. So then our dining room boxes, we had all these boxes that were labeled dining room, as well as sometimes it had other stuff on it. So like a lot of the stuff when the flood had happened, there were a lot of things that got picked up and put on the dining room table, including my crochet and knit projects, as well as like my yarn that was sitting around my chair where I usually sit and stuff like that. That all got put on the dining room table. So when we got to the rental, we had all these boxes that were labeled dining room, and under contents it says stripes. My husband and I are like, what are stripes? Like, we had to open up the boxes just to figure out what stripes are, and stripes is yarn. So I don't know if stripes is a translation or if stripes is what they call yarn. I have no idea. We just had a lot of laughs about these boxes labeled stripes, which were actually yarn, which when we first got here, I was really upset because I couldn't find any of my yarny projects. I had taken a couple things with me to temporary housing, not very much. And so then when we got here and I couldn't find any of my things, I was really upset at first, not knowing that stripes was yarn. So anyways, funny backstory. So on to life update in the flood. So once we got into the rental and our belongings, like our house was now empty of all of our stuff, they immediately started demolition. So they took out all the hardwood on the second floor. Our house is either hardwood or like vinyl flooring everywhere. So they took out all the hardwood on the second floor. The washroom where the flood started was gutted. On the first floor, they originally left the hardwood on the floor, but they took out the drywall in the ceilings where the drywall got wet. Which is like the living room ceiling was out. There's a storage room. There's a landing. They had left the ceiling in the dining room. The dining room was fine. And they left the ceiling in the living room, in the kitchen, I mean. And then in the basement, they had taken out probably about 80% of the ceilings in the basement. Just the bedroom that was in the back corner was left. And we lost all of our carpets that were in the basement, everything like that. So that was the initial demolition. That took about a week, maybe a little bit more than a week. And then we saw no activity at all. And then when I heard from the project manager, he said that they were working on the quote and the estimate for insurance for the next steps. And then they needed to arrange a meeting with all the parties, which means that the insurance adjuster has to be there, the estimator has to be there, the contractor for the recovery company has to be there. There was one more party that was supposed to be there for the meeting, and then my husband and I. So that booking that meeting took like a week as well, because that was over Thanksgiving and the weekend got involved with that. So we finally had the meeting. They gave us the plans for all the areas, as well as my husband and I had some concerns, which they did take into consideration. They did do some further demolition related to my husband's and my concerns afterwards. And then once we had that meeting, again, they got started working on the house again, and we got a new timeline for things, because our original timeline we were given 4 or 5 days after the flood was that we would be out of our house for 8 months. And now they think that we should be back in our house by hopefully December 1st, which is fantastic. And based on how quickly they have been working over the last week, as long as they can get the materials in time, I would say their timeline's probably pretty correct. Over the last week, they finished the demo, so they took out all the hardwood, all the rest of the hardwood on the first floor that had not been taken out because that was damaged as well. They did a little bit of more demolition in the basement, as well as all of our non-salvage possessions were still in the house, like all of our furniture in the basement that was wood was all wrecked. So that was all non-salvage, as well as a couple filing cabinets that were sitting in water, so they got rusty. Our couch in the living room that actually matches this chair. it got wet. It was under an area where the water was like literally dripping from the ceiling. It was like raining inside the house. So that couch was in the non-salvage, that kind of thing. So they had to get rid of all that stuff. But since then, over the course of this week, like the rebuilding is going so fast. They've already put the drywall back in the ceilings. They've mudded it all. I would say that, I don't know if they were priming yesterday. I think they were going to start priming all that area yesterday. The delay, I think, is going to be the hardwood. It sounds like our hardwood's not, the replacement hardwood's not going to come till mid-November, and that's going to be our delay. So most of the house is going to get repainted again. The parts of the house that are not getting repainted are our bedrooms that are on the second floor, because our bedrooms were, two of the bedrooms had a little bit of water on the floor, so the floors in there were damaged, but the actual walls and all that kind of stuff was fine because the water didn't, like my son's room, the water was sitting on the floor because he's messy and he stores his clothes on the floor, so the clothes got wet and then it was sitting on the floor, so that the water went into the hardwood and sat in the hardwood. Now the hardwood in there probably would have been damaged anyways, to the point of having to be replaced just because it got so wet in there. Same with the hallway. The hallway was, the hardwood in there was very badly damaged. There wasn't a carpet or anything on it. It's just there was so much water. Along with the spare room, same thing. The floor in there was pretty damaged. In there, the floor was actually buckling. But in terms of the walls and all that type of thing, those rooms are all fine. So they're just replacing floors in there. So my husband and I and my daughter, we're going to try to paint the bedrooms before we get back home, since the bedrooms are all empty right now. Right now they have no floor in them, so we don't have to protect the floors. So we think it's a good time to paint the walls and the ceilings if we can, because some of those rooms haven't been painted in 20 years. One of them, it's been 20 years. The spare room, we painted it when we moved in. We haven't painted since. Now the kids' rooms, we painted both of their bedrooms. I don't know. Probably around 6 or 7 years ago we painted them. But they could definitely use a repaint, a refresh now. The kids are at different points in their lives, and we're actually going to juggle things around as to what's going in what room we go back. My husband and I are gonna go, like when the kids were little, we used the largest bedroom for an office / playroom. That's where the computer was the kids used. I used it for my back then I didn't work from home, so it was like our home office where, you know, the computer was in there, the kids used, and I used it to pay bills and stuff like that. And then the kids had their TV in there. They had a couch in there. They had a spot they could hang out with their friends in there. Because our basement was rented, so the kids didn't have a basement to play with, so we gave them this big bedroom. So now that big bedroom isn't used. It's a spare room. It's just a junk holder. So my husband and I are going to move into the largest bedroom, and then my son hasn't decided if he's going to take our old room or if he's going to go to the basement. My daughter's going back to the room that she's been in for a long time. And then my son's old room, I'm going to use that room for my home office. So we want to paint them and get them redone so that when we go back home, everything's nice, new and fresh and clean. It's a good time to do it while the rooms are all empty. So that's my life update. We've had to go pick out new bathroom fixtures. We had to pick out new wall paint colors. We had to pick out new hardwood floors. We've been running around to stores to do that. Our fridge that's in our main floor kitchen, somehow that fridge got unplugged, and you know, when you unplug a fridge, it's moist inside. Luckily, the insurance is like, no, we're not going to deal with that. Just go buy a new fridge. So my husband and I did take a quick look at fridges, but we did not pick one out. So we need to go buy a new fridge. Yeah, lots going on. So the mindless projects have been the better things to work on right now with the crochet and knit things. Trying to just, when I'm at home at night and not working, to just chill and relax. And yeah, so we're looking forward to getting home earlier than expected, and it's fantastic news. We're very, very happy about it. In terms of the work on the house, we're very happy with the plans. They've been very accommodating for us. Insurance has been great. Things don't, I guess things pause for longer than we expected, and things don't happen necessarily all the time, but once they get moving quickly, which is really good. So yeah. So I think that is it for today for my video in terms of update on everything, and hopefully it won't be so long the next time before I'm back, but as you heard, I got a lot going on. So yeah, so there will be links in the description box for the projects that I've been working on, as well as people that I talked about, and I hope that you will check them out. And yeah, so enough rambling. I'll see you next time on Lori Hooks. Thank you for hanging out today, and I'll again see you next time. Bye everyone.